points are gained or points are lost, there will be much to discuss. For analysis regarding tonight's Winnipeg Jets game, here are Dave Manuk, Ezra Ginsburg, and your host, Drew Mandel. The Illegal Curve post-game show starts now.
I'm Drew Mandel, and I love you. Good evening, Winnipeg. Good evening, Manitoba. And for all those joining us live this evening on our YouTube channel and all of our social media platforms, we welcome you to the Illegal Curve post-game show. So, Ezzy, I know you're a wrestling guy. Did you like my Brother Love impersonation there, or should I just stick to being a mediocre YouTube host?
Oh, no. You're definitely not mediocre, Drew. I didn't pick up on the Dude Love reference. You know that I love...
Brother Love, not Dude
Brother Love. What's Brother Love?
Dude Love, Ezzy, Dude Love was the guy you went up against in the pierogi eating contest.
No, Dude Love was Mick Foley, Mankind. No, I don't know who's Brother Love.
You don't know who Brother Love was? You remember?
Brother Love. Oh, yeah, the guy that had he was the first Undertaker's manager, right?
Right.
Sorry, I should say that again. That was Undertaker's first manager, and he had the red face paint.
Yes, because he
the white suit.
He was portraying like a Southern Baptist preacher. So that was my impersonation, of a Southern Baptist preacher.
I like that, Drew, because that's like you're going back to like the early '90s when we were like 10 years old. Yeah. So yeah, I like that reference.
Thank you. So I thought I'm surprised you didn't pick up on that. I guess I'm not wearing enough makeup. I'll have to add a little bit of rouge during the commercial break, and then we'll come back and do it again. In any event, gentlemen, happy Valentine's Day to all our friends in the chat and those who are joining us on the podcast. We say a happy Valentine's Day to all of you. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being with your loved ones and us as your loved ones as well. We are here on this Tuesday evening to talk about the Winnipeg Jets. 3-2 victors over the Seattle Kraken for the first time this year in the shootout. The Jets have gone to the shootout.
And what a riveting shootout that was. Don't you just love the shootout, guys? Like, I was watching that third period and overtime thinking, like, I really wish we saw a shootout. It's just the most exciting part of hockey.
It certainly isn't the most exciting. My sarcasm meter is going off a little bit, but nonetheless, it did go to a shootout. Thankfully, only for the first time this year for the Winnipeg Jets, and they are victorious, pulling it off.
That deke by Scheifele was sick. I'll say that much. Beautiful deke.
Yes, that was an absolutely beautiful deke. Beautiful hands in tight there. Scheifele, I guess, proving to be the game-winning.
You have beautiful hands as well, Drew. I know that you gave up a career as a hand model to pursue other interests, but you do have nice soft hands.
Exactly. I was a master of my domain, and then things happened, unfortunately. But nonetheless, yes, I do have beautiful hands, well manicured nails, as you can see, no doubt,
no dirt
as well.
No dirt, no
well moisturized. Got to keep them nice and fresh during this dry time of the season here in Winnipeg. Wow, this has gone off the rails even faster than we really would have thought. So, Dave, hey, you're back. You're alive. Welcome back after your 8-week trip to Vegas. How was that for you?
Well, boys, we're broke. We have no more money left in the Illegal Curve bank account, so we might have to restart some of the donation to the telethons, if you will. Sorry, I bet it all on black. That, as you can see from the colors I'm wearing, and yeah, we're broke. We have no money left, so we'll have to start anew. We might have to start doing 3-4 of these shows a week just to recoup.
It's okay, Dave. My entire 30s I've been broke, so I mean that's not really any change. I'm good.
We're just returning. We're returning you to your roots, Ezzy. So Drew, as a millionaire here, unfortunately, you're going back to some times you probably haven't experienced. But we're gonna take that silver spoon right out of your mouth, and you're gonna put you to work. But no, Vegas was good. Had a good time. But it's good to be back as well and ready to get crack-a-lacking and start. I'm still doing some remote coverage, of course, of the Jets. I saw Ezzy. I got to give Ez. I know you did it on the post-game show, but I didn't get a chance yet. So I'm going to give Ezzy huge kudos for jumping on and doing the show, the hosting gig on his own on Saturday. Not easy.
I can't take any credit. I mean, it was all Jim Toth and the chat. I mean, the chat really uplifted me. They motivated me. So I got to give all of the credit to the chat. But all joking aside, I mean, I learned how tough it is in this new format to you're running the chat, the commercials, everything like that. So it was fun, but we know that Drew's job is safe.
Thank you. That's I'm humbled to get that kind of compliment from you gentlemen. Look, the Jets obviously returned to action on Saturday against the Blackhawks, but this sort of felt like the first real challenge since the All-Star break. And all disrespect intended to the Chicago Blackhawks, because that's
that was a practice on Saturday night.
Yeah, it's varsity against JV. This was the Seattle Kraken and the Jets have played. This is the third game this year. They've played 3 very entertaining hockey games, and that's another what we saw tonight. This was a well-played hockey game, I thought, by and large. A couple of the goals, of course, were a little bit fluky, but each team got a fluky goal, so it determined anything in the game. But I thought this was a game played with a fair bit of speed, a little bit of back and forth. I don't think either team is disappointed with their performance tonight. I say that from the Kraken perspective. I think that at times they were on their heels, but then they pushed back well against the Jets, particularly I thought sort of in the latter halves of the first and the second period. The Kraken pushed on the Jets, and the Jets certainly started the game strong, and the Jets had a lot of good aspects to their game, particularly the penalty kill, where they kill off 6 minutes of penalties in the first period. By and large, this was an entertaining hockey game that I thought most people who were in attendance got their money's worth, and those of us who are watching from the comforts of our own couches certainly got their money's worth as well.
Absolutely. And, one thing that stands out about this Kraken team, who's obviously going to make the playoffs, is their special teams need a ton of work, right? Like you mentioned that the Jets were really good on the penalty kill. So it's not like, we're not giving credit to the Jets here, but, the Kraken, I think heading into this game, boys, they were like 1 for 17 or 1 for 18. So obviously that dates back to prior to the All-Star break, right? But I mean, that's one thing that, you could point to this Kraken team is, it's not like Oilers with McDavid and Draisaitl, or the Penguins with Crosby and Malkin, or the Jets for that matter, who have one of the best top 6 in the league, right? Like it's like a bunch of really good second and third lines kind of thing, right? Loved Morgan Geeky's game, by the way, and his family in the crowd. We'll get to that goal a little bit later, but you're absolutely right, Drew. The first period was largely controlled by the Jets, and you're sitting watching that game, and the Kraken go up 2-1 off of one of those most ridiculous lucky bounce off of 2 skate goals I've ever seen. But look, sometimes Philip Grubauer is the difference, right? But like you're watching that game, the Jets were badly out shooting the Kraken, and I mean badly out shooting the Kraken in the second period. I think they had like 1 shot through the first 7 or 8 minutes or something like that, right? So yeah, I mean the Jets really controlled this game, and I thought they had the Kraken on their heels for big chunks of this game. And I thought the Kraken just were having difficulty with the Jets' speed, right? And, clearly the line blender worked in the third period when you had Ehlers, Connor, and Dubois reunited, and they were clearly, they picked up right where they left off, and Lowry, Appleton, and Barron were really good, and then Manalainen got elevated to that line, and then Barron got elevated to the Scheifele line, right? It was Barron, Scheifele, and Wheeler. So that had the intended effect, but I thought, that line, you saw Lowry took a really nice pass from Barron in the first period and had a really good scoring chance. Like you kind of got the feeling that, that line was driving the team and they were going to get rewarded with a goal. But yeah, for the most part, the Jets controlled 5-on-5, Dave. And yeah, they allowed that power play goal, but it was a complete fluke. I mean, we'll get into, the minutia here, the minutia, but that Pierre-Luc Dubois penalty was stupid. I mean, and he makes up for it, right? Like he scores the game-winning goal in the shootout, so he makes up for it. But like that play on Vince Dunn, you just can't do that.
Well, it was a play out of a frustration. I mean, it was a frustration penalty, and you often will get called for those because the referees can see that you're sort of on the verge of doing something that's going to put you into the penalty box. And Pierre-Luc Dubois fell for that hook, line, and sinker, Dave. But to your point, as ultimately he redeemed himself. But you talk about the 5-on-5 play, and that's sort of where I wanted to focus to start this. You don't see the Jets typically dominate 5-on-5 as much as they did in tonight's game. Look at the possession numbers. This is 5-on-5, 59% to 41%. That's sizable. I mean, and then that's sizable against any team in the NHL. Never mind a Kraken team, Dave. That's a pretty good hockey team. Expected goals, 3.35 to 1.85. The Jets played one of the better, I think, most complete games of recent memory in tonight's contest against another opponent that they can.
They won every period, Drew. At 5-on-5, they won every single period.
And it's not against the Blackhawks. It's not against one of the weaker teams. This is against a team, the Seattle Kraken, that have surprised a number of people this year.
Yeah,
and that certainly are going to be in the running for the top spot in the Pacific Division. I mean, it's not inconceivable that this would be a Western Conference playoff matchup where you look at both of these teams where they are in the standings. So the Jets have a lot, I think, that they would be pleased about when you look at the entirety of the 60 minutes or 65 minutes plus a shootout of tonight's game, Dave.
Yeah, and look, I mean, Seattle came in here losing 3 of their last 4 games. They won their last game before this one against the Jets.
Yeah,
but they're still a very good road team. I think I wrote in the pregame report they're 17-8, I think, on the road.
Yeah,
and so you've got
2 entering tonight's game,
right? So you're a very good road team, and they've gotten it done away from Seattle. So I mean, that's something the Jets had to factor in, and there was a lot of talk about that idea that this was going to be a big test, and like you said, they're not going to denigrate the Blackhawks and say, well, that wasn't a real hockey club and that wasn't a real tough test on Saturday night. But you knew that this was a game where they were going to, okay, we got to be ready. We got to be ready to go. And they really were from that first. I mean, it was a little unusual. I mean, I don't know how they showed it at home, but the shot count was very bizarre because it was like 6-0 for the Jets. And then all of a sudden it became 6-1, and I was like, that's weird. I didn't see the Kraken get a shot, but somehow they got a shot. And then it was like the Jets just dominated, even after the Kraken had their 3 power plays, the 3 2-minute power plays, I should say. The one obviously was the double minor, but the Jets just controlled it, like you said, Drew. I mean, it was not a particularly exciting game, like in the first period, I should say. The first period was slow, and even though the Jets held it, I didn't think that they had too many grade A's. I mean, they had a few, but it wasn't like there wasn't anything that I was like, well, that was ridiculous. The Cole Perfetti had a nice chance that he kind of created on his own. But again, like I said, it was one of those situations where you just thought, well, is Grubauer going to be able to kind of keep Seattle in this? Because right now, that's the difference between, I thought, in the game was that he was keeping his club in it. So it was a very good effort from a Jets club, mostly to not get frustrated also, right, guys? I mean, it's very easy to kind of, you're dominating a team and you get out of it a little bit.
Exactly. Yeah.
And instead the Jets didn't. They stayed within that framework, and you weren't sure how it was going to go. And like I said, going back to that idea of shots quickly, sorry, Drew, and then you can jump in, but it was just funny because so at one point it was 6-0. And I was like, okay. And then all of a sudden it was 6-1. And I'm like, and then one of I think Judy Owen from the Canadian Press, who sits next to us, said, did you see when they got that shot? So then I went back on NHL.com. I checked, and they awarded it to like a wrist shot to Brandon Tanev, like a minute and like 37 seconds into the game, even though it was like 7 or 8 minutes into the game and it was 6-0. So they had gone back, adjusted it. But still, I mean, it was a little phantom, but even the shots at the end of the first period were 11-11 in the building. And then all of a sudden the second period starts, it's 12-10. And then again, to start that second period, it was all Winnipeg, right? The Jets Kraken had 1 shot, I think, to the Jets 9. So, I mean, it was a very good, but again, there wasn't much happening until that Blake Wheeler goal kind of opened things up a little bit.
Well, you talk about, the Jets staying with it. And I think that's something we shouldn't gloss over because as you said,
Drew, stay in the fight. Say it.
Well, no, I'm not going to say stay in
the fight. What was that, 2018-19 when we heard that was that the season?
Yeah.
The stay in the fight season?
Yeah. And then we heard it. And then as he, I think it was 18-19. And then was it 18-19 or was it 19-20?
I think it was 19-20.
Yeah. It was one of those years, but then it became like the whole, like, we got to stay in the fight. I was like, okay. And thank you, Lawrence. I did have a good time in Vegas.
What I was going to say, though, is as the Jets were controlling the majority of the play, especially 5-on-5 to start the game, as we talked about, and then you got to touch on those 2 penalties because those 2 penalties could have altered this game significantly. Dylan DeMello takes an goaltender interference penalty at the 10:06 mark.
That's what you expect to see from Dylan DeMello is him taking a goalie interference penalty.
You'd look at that, you'd be wondering, was he interfering with his own goalie? What was happening there? Why is
Am I
Dylan
the only
DeMello
person that thought that was like a little bit of a soft call?
Actually, it's funny. I didn't actually. When I saw the my first impression when I watched it was no, but DeMello went in and he did bump Grubauer. So I actually thought it was okay.
All right.
In any event, so
fair enough.
DeMello takes that interference penalty. So
the shots were 10-2 at that point, Drew. So that was the whole thing. The Jets were controlling the play at 5-on-5. So the DeMello penalty and then the Barron double high sticking minor,
right,
it put them on the PK for a big chunk of the second half of the first period, right? So
which is what let Seattle sort of get back into the game, get it back into the flow of the game, and maybe stifled a little bit of the Jets' momentum because of how well they had been playing up to that point. But the Jets don't give up anything on those 6 minutes of power play of penalty killing time, and you got to talk about Adam Lowry's shift where he has those couple blocks in a row that really gets the crowd at the arena in downtown Winnipeg, juiced up, showing the effort. I mean, that's what penalty killing.
Sorry, I was just going to say, Drew, I forget if it was the first minor or the second minor, but you remember Brendan Dillon lost his stick.
Well,
and then Adam Lowry gave Dillon his stick, and then he was blocking shots without a stick.
Right,
and we all know how hard it is, right, to do that, to block shots in general. But so you're right. I mean, Lowry. I mean, it's funny, right? Like we talk about how many. Like, are there any superlatives left to describe Kyle Connor? Well, yeah, there are actually a lot. And it's the same thing with Adam Lowry on the penalty kill. Like the guy's one of the. I think you could argue he is like. It's one of the best penalty killers in the league. He really has become that.
The effort, and I mean that's what penalty killing by and large is. It oftentimes is effort and will, and you got to see that on display, particularly in that instance when, like you said, as Brendan Dillon's stick, I think it explodes on a clearing attempt, and then the forward is conditioned to give the stick back to the defenseman, and then the opposition is conditioned to go after that forward without a stick to try and play off of him, to try and use him, and the fact he doesn't have that stick to their advantage, and in this case, Lowry manages to do what we've seen him do so many times, which is sacrifice, and eventually getting the whistle, and the Jets eventually.
He was trying to impress his dad on the bench.
Yeah, exactly. His dad was probably thinking to himself, "God damn it, Sonny boy, I'm proud of you most of the time, but not right now. Why can't you let one in that instance?" But I just had to touch on that effort. It won't get it, otherwise we wouldn't really touch on it during the Betway game recap, but we might as well get to that. It's brought to you by our friends at Betway, one of the most trusted voices in sports betting, both in Canada and all around the world. Betway is the sports betting app that puts you, the customer, at the forefront. With a large selection of betting options in sports, as well as strong promotions and fair odds. What are you waiting for? Head on over to Betway and bet your way. Must be 19 years or older to play. Please play responsibly. As we discussed, 0-0 after 20 minutes. The Jets controlling a lot of that first 10 minutes. The Kraken controlling a lot of that second 10 minutes, in particular because of the 6 minutes worth of power play time. The Jets do open the scoring. 7:01 mark of the second period. Blake Wheeler, his 15th assist to Nikolai Ehlers, and there's been so much discourse about face-off wins and face-off wins and face-off wins. It's sort of ironic that this Jets goal comes off of a face-off loss. The Jets lose the face-off pretty clean, and then it's just a soft play by Jamie Alexiak behind the Kraken net. Good play by Nikolai Ehlers as well, don't get me wrong. He intercepts what I'll call a soft pass from Alexiak, feeds it out to Wheeler, and then Wheeler, he doesn't have the speed that he once had, but he's still got some pretty soft hands, and he showed them on display in beating Philip Grubauer to give the Jets the 1-0 lead, Ezzy.
Yeah, I mean, you're 100% right. Like, this is just beautiful work by Nikolai Ehlers. It's a nice move by Blake Wheeler, but yeah, I agree with you, Drew. It's funny that the face-off discussion, and that's like a perfect example of almost like that you want to lose the face-off if that's going to happen, right? And we haven't really got into it, and we always joke about the cliche about having an aggressive forecheck, but really it was the speed on the forecheck, and that's evident here, right? Like it's just a poor pass by Jamie Alexiak to get it to, it was Will Borgen, if I'm not mistaken, his D partner, right? So Ehlers just picks it off. And a beautiful pass to Wheeler, Dave, but and Wheeler just outweights Philip Grubauer. But yeah, that was just like sloppy, passing in your own zone off of a face-off. But yeah, to me, you got to give Ehlers a ton of credit for picking the pass off, and then obviously Wheeler for making a nice little deke and outweighing Grubauer there.
Yeah, exactly right. You touched on it, and I mean, yeah, to me, Alexiak's just got to be a little harder on that pass to Borgen. And now, sometimes Nikolai Ehlers' speed sneaks up on people, Dave, and maybe he didn't expect Ehlers to get to where he got to as quickly as he did. But to me, it's a combination of a great play by Ehlers, and then that a bit of a soft play, and then
you just don't make that. Like, I like Jamie Alexiak. I've always liked him. Sister obviously is an unbelievable Olympian swimmer. but like it's just like that's not a play you make when there's pressure on you. Like you make that type of play if there's a lot of time and space. Like it was just odd to me that was such a soft backhand pass from Oleksiak to his D partner.
Yeah.
But give Wheeler's credit, right? Like he took advantage and he quickly got it to Wheeler and it was in the back of the net and the Jets had the 1-0 lead.
Miller Time 1980 in the chat is saying that one of the Jets players called for the pass, sort of faking out Oleksiak, which is part of the reason why the play turned out so poorly for him. I'll take your word for it, Miller Time. I certainly I don't know if I heard that on my broadcast.
Are we saying that Ehlers called for it?
You couldn't hear him. What Miller Time is saying is you couldn't hear specifically who it was, but that
it would make sense though if anybody.
It would
else
make sense
it.
that it would be Ehlers.
Yeah, I don't know if somebody else called for the pass, how that would impact what Jamie Oleksiak was going to do. But it was a bad turnover by Oleksiak.
Yeah.
But also you got to give credit to Ehlers for picking the pass off and doing what he did, right? So it was a nice goal from a couple of good friends.
Exactly right. It was a very nice goal. Dave, the Kraken tie it up 6 minutes and 19 seconds later. It's John Hayden, his second of the season, assists to Strathclair, Manitoba's Morgan Geekie and Jamie Oleksiak. So Oleksiak giveth and then Oleksiak taketh away. And it's just a really quick up rush here. And Nikolai Ehlers gets caught a little bit. Just, he gets beat by Hayden. You think that he's in good position. He's just not quite there. I think it's Neil Pionk is pinching on this play, if I'm not mistaken.
And he's going back to the bench.
Well, Wheeler coughs the puck up.
Right. It's Wheeler coughs the puck up.
Wheeler owned it. And that's why when the puck went in, he slapped it right back into the net, right? So it's a Wheeler turnover. But you're right. Ehlers, who usually doesn't get beat a lot, like he can catch guys, right, Dave? But it was a bad turnover again by Wheeler, and but a beautiful pass by Morgan Geekie. Wow.
Well, it's amazing, Dave, that you think, and that's not like this turnover happened in the neutral zone. This turnover happened in the Kraken zone. It was an attempted play, as the Jets sort of have a clean zone entry into the Kraken zone, and then Wheeler turns the puck over. You don't think that you're in a dangerous position. It's amazing how quickly teams can now transition, and where you think that you're in a fine position, one bad turnover, no matter where it almost happens on the ice, can lead to a goal in the back of your net so quickly.
Yeah, there's no question. And look, it was, I would suspect, I don't think Neil Pionk was anticipating that the puck was going to get up that ice that quickly and that cleanly. And so he was, trying to change. And of course that meant that Ehlers had to cover. And, look, it's 27's 27th birthday. So I don't want to rip on the kid, especially after he had a nice assist to Blake Wheeler on the goal, but he's got to back up for Neil Pionk there and be a little more aggressive in his back check to really help out. It was Nate Schmidt, I believe, right? Nate Schmidt was the other defenseman that was on the ice at that point.
That's correct.
So that's an instance where you got to have the forward recognize that Pionk, again, whether it was an ill-advised change by Neil Pionk, I think it was from my perspective, but regardless, Ehlers maybe gets back. And then and as he's right, it's a beautiful pass by Geekie, and Hayden just makes a nice redirection. Not much that Rittich could do. Rittich made a nice attempt at it, but it's a nice goal for the.
It's also a nice
Kraken
pass by Oleksiak, and it's kind of funny, right? Because Oleksiak turns the puck over. So if you could follow this, Oleksiak turns the puck over to Ehlers, gets it to Wheeler and scores.
Yeah,
and then Geekie
Wheeler,
and then Wheeler turns the puck over
to Oleksiak.
Ehlers, who can't get back to cover Hayden, right? Like it was just a weird thing. And then Dubois took the interference penalty on Dunn. And
getting ahead, Ezzy. You're getting ahead.
No, but on the tying goal, Dubois' shot goes off of Dunn, right? Like it was just like synchronicity. I don't know what was going on.
It was. That's well articulated there, Mr. Ginsburg. You're right.
The show's over. Thanks everyone for joining us.
I articulate.
You do articulate very well. We got to talk about, actually, you mentioned the sort of it's our mistake for getting 24 minutes into the show and not yet mentioning him, David Rittich. I mean, this is a guy who did not expect to get this start for the Winnipeg Jets. Everyone assumed it would be Connor Hellebuyck. Hellebuyck obviously under the weather, so much so that he couldn't even back up. Arvid Holm gets called up from the Moose to be the emergency backup goaltender. It's an emergency recall that happens just before game time. David Rittich was terrific in this game. I mean, this was one of the best games. I mean, I know that it goes to shootout and everything, but in terms of just looking confident and looking solid, David Rittich really did a great job in that in tonight's contest. I thought, putting in a sort of a surprise duty for the Winnipeg Jets tonight. He gave the team everything they'd want and more, and looked confident in doing it, I thought.
One thing I noticed about Riddick, maybe, sorry, Dave, I'll just go quickly here. One thing we know that Riddick plays the puck, handles the puck better than Hellebuck. I noticed too that he doesn't like to freeze the puck. I don't know if anybody else kind of caught on that, and it's kind of a weird thing. I didn't think I would necessarily be talking about but you could see, like, when you thought maybe he'd freeze the puck, he'd move it really quickly, right? And I think, subtle things like that, sometimes they don't turn into anything. But yeah, I just thought he managed the game really well, right? Like I'm with you, Drew. Like, it wasn't one of those games where you're going to look back on it and say that, Riddick goalied the Kraken or anything like that, but he was just really solid. However many saves he made, 25 or something like that, right? And he might have to play again, guys, on Thursday night against the Blue Jackets, because you're right. Hellebuck was supposed to get this start, and then you got to think Riddick was going to get the Blue Jackets, right, Dave? So I think it was really impressive from Big Save Dave.
Yeah, I thought he was great, and exactly, that's what the Jets want.
Did I throw it to Dave there?
Did, but
been a lot of throwing to Dave's, and Dave's just getting run over by everyone.
I thought, okay,
you folks are bebopping and scatting all
Dave's
over
been
me.
in Vegas twice over the last 2 weeks. He needs to get in here more. Like, we've been doing
seriously.
all the talking the last couple.
I did have a little 10-minute cameo on the 14th anniversary show, but that was about it. Although people enjoyed that. I got a lot of messages after getting from folks giving me suggestions as to where to go in Vegas.
I like this comment. I want to highlight it from Dieter, who points out accurately that Riddick played all 3 games against the Kraken this year. So there certainly was an element of familiarity, obviously, that he had with this Kraken team.
So if these teams meet in the Western Final, then Riddick's going to be the starting
goaltender.
Yeah.
That's right. It's Hellebuck's the
you
backup.
heard it here first.
Yeah, exactly how it works. You got to go with the hot hand, and in that case, it's David Riddick. But a good comment there from Dieter in remembering that, and I'm glad that he still has.
Dieter's got a nice little car there in his picture.
Well,
nice little sports car.
Dieter's an IC contest winner.
He is an IC contest winner. Maybe we'll find out more about that car. See if Ezzy can get a little spin in that. Dieter, our words of wisdom: don't let Ezzy drive your car.
Or anywhere near your house.
That too as well. So it's 1-1 at that point in time after the Hayden goal ties it up. The Kraken take the lead with 27 seconds to go in the second period. We talked about it's on a power play. Pierre-Luc Dubois is in the box with that frustration penalty that he takes, and he draws a lot of penalties and he takes a lot of penalties. This is one that he's not going to like to take. It's an interference call, and it's Jared McCann getting his 25th assist to Vince Dunn and Eli Tolvanen, and this one is just a fluke as fluke can go. It goes off of Dylan DeMello's skate, then it goes off of Mason Appleton's skate, and I think it was our buddy Murat put up the gif for of Plinko, and that's exactly what it was. Bing bang bong into the back of the net, and it's 2-1 for the Kraken after 40 minutes. And the Jets had really done a good job on the penalty kill up to that point, and this one's going to be a notch against the penalty kill, but it's sort of one of those unfortunate notches that you sometimes see. I'll throw it to Dave here, Ezzy, because you've been talking too much.
Wow.
I was ready to go, though.
I know.
Boston beat Dallas in overtime, by the way.
That's right. I saw that in the chat, which means in overtime, which puts the Jets, I believe, 2 points behind the Dallas Stars with a game in hand. So the Jets are certainly keeping pace in that. The
key is getting
Central
the points.
Division.
The key is getting those points and putting them into the standings bank. Whether you're chasing Dallas, you're keeping Minnesota behind you, and that's what if you're a Jets.
Colorado, Dave.
And Drew's about to make a point he made on Twitter. Go ahead, Drew.
Exactly right, Dave. I'm glad you know me so well that you know exactly what I was going to say. But the Minnesota Wild completely missed an opportunity while the Jets were off. They played coming into last night. So after last night's game, where they lost in shootout to the Florida Panthers, they'd played 5 games to the Jets 1 game since the All-Star break ended, and they only gained 1 point on the Jets in 4 more games. So that's a huge squandered opportunity for the Minnesota Wild, who now sit 8 points behind the Jets. They'll be, I believe, 10 points behind the Dallas Stars as well. Granted, with 1 and 2 games in hand, as opposed to, after the All-Star break where they had 4 or 5 games in hand, they completely squandered that opportunity.
So now,
it'll be interesting to see what they do at the trade deadline, because the Brock Besser rumors there, right? Like, you wonder, they need to do something because they're in trouble. I've said this, and I'm not the only person. Like, the Avalanche are the team that everybody has to worry about. But go ahead, Dave.
No, I was just going to say, like, it's one of those plays you like when Pierre-Luc Dubois plays with passion, but and again, I don't know, because of course with the TV, when the puck squeaks away, you tend to follow it, but we were sitting in the press box and I'm watching, and I watched him react to the ref, because he basically took a bit of a shot in the corner when he went in for the hit. He took a shot. He didn't like it. He didn't like that there wasn't a call, and you could just see he was angry. And then of course he skates over, and I think, was it Susie that he, I think it was Susie, wasn't it, that he went and interfered with and got the penalty against. So it's an undisciplined penalty. It's not one you like to see transpire, because look, the points are at a premium, right? I mean, you are in a race.
It was on Vince Dunn.
Oh, Vince Dunn. So I think Susie had laid the hit on him.
He had a scoring chance right before that.
Yes. So anyways, the point is that he hit Dunn, and it's just an unnecessary play. And then sure, look, it's not a goal you're expecting, right? Because like you said, Drew, it's bing bang, and it's, I think if you, as he was talking about the math and the angles and stuff like that, for that to go in more than once is,
well, it's like it gains speed. Like originally, like it was tough to tell if it went, like if it clearly went off Appleton. At least I could tell it went off of Appleton.
Yeah, DeMello then Appleton.
Yeah, but it's almost like it gained speed after it went off DeVello's stick and then hit like Appleton's skate. You know what I mean? Like it was like a weird. It seemed like it shouldn't have been.
I don't remember much from grade 11 physics, but I know it can't possibly pick up speed after it hits something. That much I can remember for sure.
I took grade 11 physics as well, and I did not do very well. Maybe because I was more interested in socializing, but I remember force equals mass times acceleration. I got that down. And then everything after that, I was like, what the hell is going on? Physics is, it's a tough subject, but that was just a crazy bounce. Yes. I made a note here in my notes here. Alex Wenberg, had a really nice zone entry, but it was just, a complete fluke goal. And Dubois obviously, comes into the penalty box with his head down, right? But it's just one of those weird things, because the Kraken had, what did we say, 1 or 2 shots up until that point in the second period. And then they're up 2-1. But to Dave's point, the Jets didn't let that be the turning point in the game. They stuck with it, as the cliche goes. Dubois ties it up later in the game, and that's that. But one thing that stands out,
just yada yada though over the whole third period.
I think he just yada yada the entire third period.
I wouldn't do that.
Well, it seemed pretty much like that. Did you already mentioned the best part? Is that what we missed? You mentioned the bisque already. Never mind as he yada yadaing over the third period, but the Jets tie it up at the 9:39 mark of the third period. It's not yada yada. It's hey baby. It's Pierre-Luc Dubois, his 23rd of the season, assist to Josh Morrissey and Kyle Connor, and this one's a fortuitous bounce in the Jets' favor. In this instance, the Morrissey point shot, and then Dubois is there, causing havoc in front of the net, as we've seen him do so many times. And this one ricochets in off of the Kraken player, past Philip Grubauer to tie it up, basically at the halfway mark of the third period. Dave.
It's only fitting. Sorry, I was trying to get some tweets out there, Drew, but it's only fitting that the Jets get a bounce of their own. Although the Jets almost very easily could have had another one go against them, because of course that one that went off Blake Wheeler's skate and then off the post was, and was that in the second period? And it was unusual, because we were talking about how the Kraken had no shots, and then they get one that almost goes in the net, and yet ironically, of course, doesn't count as a shot because it went off the post. But anyways, back to that goal. I thought it was, fair, because if you're watching that game from a Jets perspective, and the Jets have played as well as they had for the most part throughout the course of that, contest, for them to have lost it potentially on that, bounce goal that went off DeMello, Appleton into the back of the net, would be a smidge unfair, although it's sports, so there's nothing really about unfairness. Unless you were an Eagles fan, you might be upset with the Super Bowl outcome, something we can discuss later. But regardless, I thought it was fair that the Jets would get a bounce of their own. And as he says, there's a lot of synchronicity that was transpiring throughout the course of this game. So Pierre-Luc Dubois getting it seemed appropriate. And then the hey babies rained down. Fans were happy to hear that. And again, like I said, it was a game that unusually, that Mike McIntyre, like I said in the first period, said to, I don't know, he said to the assorted media, of which I was 2 over from him.
What the hell were you doing there?
Yeah, exactly. But he said, like, this feels like this will end up as the first shootout of the season for the Winnipeg Jets. And I think he said the Leafs and was it the Senators? Well, there's two other teams that have only done it once, but the Jets were the only team in the NHL who hadn't gone to a single shootout. But anyways, I don't want to get ahead of myself. It just seemed appropriate that the Jets would get back in based on that type of goal, given the fact as that they ended the second period with that. And they didn't start the third period particularly well. It was actually a rather sleepy start by Winnipeg, I thought. Seattle came out the more aggressive of the two teams. I mean, not a tremendous amount of shots. I think they outshot the Jets like 3-0, but the Kraken had a little bit of momentum. And then I think I just finished tweeting that. And the next thing you know, the third line, and there's one thing before we get into the goal that we just did, but it's worth noting that third line, the modified third line, because the line blender came out in the third period, but the modified third line, they had some good, pressure in that Kraken zone. And then they followed that up with the fourth line, again, modified fourth line, keeping that pressure up. And that kind of allowed the Jets to kind of regain momentum in the third period and then eventually tie the game.
The one thing I wanted to, sorry, Drew, I just wanted to mention one thing. It's like we need a raise hand function here on with our StreamYard, but yeah, maybe we'll just do it the old fashioned way, like you used to do in elementary school when you had to go to the bathroom. But one thing I wanted to mention here, Drew, you made the joke about the faceoffs, right? The Jets losing the faceoff on the Blake Wheeler goal. Pierre-Luc Dubois wins the faceoff here. But the thing that I really wanted to make a note of, and I have it here on my on the MacBook, is Josh Morrissey uses Ehlers as a decoy and pretends like, because the puck is dropped. I think Connor, it goes Dubois to Connor, and then Connor drops it to Morrissey, who moves in. So then Ehlers goes to cover for him, and Morrissey fakes it, Dave, like he's going to go back to Ehlers.
Yeah.
And what ended up happening is that Larson then comes out to challenge Morrissey, but then Dubois is in behind him, and then we know that it was a bounce off of Dunn, right? But so I just wanted to, point that out. We've talked a lot about that, how Morrissey walks the line and, he does the deceiving, fake passes, right? So I just wanted to get that in there, that it was off of a face-off win and just a really nice effort by Morrissey to kind of forget who the Kraken forward was there, but to fool the forward into thinking he was passing it back to Ehlers there at the point.
We'd be remiss before we get into overtime and then the shootout to not congratulate Dave on his engagement at the game. To your special lady, Dave, congratulations on that. We're very happy for you.
I have to say, though, so we were watching, I think that was during one of the contests, the Ask the Question contest or whatever. Yeah. And so they got to give a shout out to the classy, I mean, Drew's of course kidding, but the classy folks in section 330
about that was your engagement. Yes.
Yeah, no, of course. But I'm saying, so the couple, she said yes, as Mike McIntyre tweeted. We've mentioned Mike a lot this show. I mean, we might want to give him a fourth spot right now, but it was nice because when they went back up to section 330, not all the folks, but a lot of the folks in section 330, classy folks, if you will, of section 330, shout out to them, gave the newly engaged couple a standing O. So I thought that was very nice of them to, probably 329 as well, gave a nice little standing O. See, one of the things you don't see on television, boys. Mm-hmm. That's one of the things that we come back and share with you, courtesy of this broadcast. So
behind the scenes things that happen that you can only find out about here on the Illegal Curve.
We also didn't see you scarfing Smarties down in the press box, Dave.
I had to, I pulled a nice little maneuver today because it was a different person in charge of the snacks, if you will, and she was gonna institute some sort of different policy. I was concerned.
Well, they must have had some heart-shaped chocolates and stuff for Valentine's Day, right?
I don't care about that kind of stuff. I just wanted Smarties. That's all I care about. As you know, as I love the Smarties. So I was holding out hope, but then I got there after the first, nothing was there. And she was like, well, and then she was discussing the Paul. She was new. She's not our usual Karen. Shout out to Karen. She's in charge of the whole thing, but she wasn't there. And so this lady, I don't know if she knew, but anyway, she brought out she eventually did, but usually the NHL guys clear it all out. It's always gone anyways. Not this time. I got a fresh.
Scotty Billick is usually in there pretty quickly.
No, Scotty wasn't there, but I was doing a little snarful conversation with Weber, sharing our respective trip stories because Weber was just in Mexico and I was in Vegas.
Cancun.
And then
someone's doing well. Exactly.
And so then
does he use Grid Park? I hope he uses Grid Park.
Hopefully. Although I have to say, actually, I was very happy to see someone asked a question in one of the on Reddit. And they said someone asked who has never been to a game before about parking. And then I noticed a number of people had said, IC guys promote Grid Parks. You should give them one person said if the IC guys are to be believed, which I was a little discouraged by, but some people gave a shout out to Grid Park. So that was nice.
There you go. So you advertise with us on Illegal Curve and you get some value for your dollar. That's what we can say for sure. Folks, Dave did not get engaged. I see. I just want to make sure it's clear in the chat. Dave did not get engaged at the
Dave's
game.
getting a standing ovation in the chat.
Yes,
Yeah.
everyone's applauding Dave. He did not get engaged at the game. Just want to make sure that that's clear. The overtime period didn't solve anything, but it was an entertaining overtime, back and forth, chances at both ends.
Blake Wheeler's chance
exciting
was
hockey?
unbelievable.
3-on-3?
That pass by Scheifele.
That pass by Scheifele was,
And then Wheeler didn't even get the shot off. I thought he scored.
Well, I mean, he just rolled off his stick at the end, but
the puck was rolling.
That was a hard pass.
Threading a needle right there.
Yeah, you want to talk about a hard pass? That was a hard pass from Mark Scheifele. That was probably the Jets' best chance in overtime. I thought the overtime was entertaining. Sometimes, not often. Sometimes 3-on-3 overtimes are too much of a chess match. It can be a little bit boring. I thought this 3-on-3 overtime was both played well from both an offensive and a defensive perspective. Anytime either the Jets or the Kraken had an opportunity to sort of force a turnover, which isn't easy to do in overtime, I thought that they were able to do it pretty well. They chose their spots in which to jump in and force the play very well by both teams. Unfortunately, obviously, nothing was settled in that 5 minutes. And then it went to the shootout where the Jets were the dominant of the two teams in the shootout, scoring twice in the shootout to neither Kraken player being able to score. And as a result, the Jets win the shootout pretty quick. I guess 2-0 in the shootout. And those shootout goals, we will declare them as our Seagram's shot of the game for tonight's game between the Jets and the Kraken. Seagram's VO, masterfully blended, distinctly Canadian. Get it at your favorite liquor establishment and wherever fine liquor products are sold. 3-2 final. The Winnipeg Jets win in a shootout. First time they've won in a shootout this year. I believe it's only the third time that they've won after trailing after 40 minutes this year. So a couple notches in the Jets' belt in tonight's victory over the Seattle Kraken. This has been the Betway game recap brought to you by our friends at Betway. It's simple, fun, and safe to bet with Betway. So head on over to Betway and bet your way. Must be 19 years or older to play. Please play responsibly. When we come back, more on the Jets and the Kraken, some contest giveaways as per usual, and more of whatever nonsense pops into our mind, including Ezzy's exclusive review of Cocaine Bear. Much more to come. You're watching the Illegal Curve post-game show. We're live on YouTube and all of our social media platforms.
Jerry Seinfeld, Chris Rock, Jon Stewart, Dennis Miller, Brad Garrett, the biggest acts and all the up-and-comers. They've all made their mark at Rumors Comedy Club, North America's longest-running independent comedy club. Rumors has kept Winnipeg laughing for over 25 years. When was the last time you laughed out loud? Make it a great night out with friends or book your office or birthday party, even a fundraising event at Rumors. Get all the details and dates on upcoming shows at rumorscomedyclub.com.
He winds up. Oh, looks like Ezzy took that one right in the choppers.
A blistering fast puck hurts like HE double hockey sticks. That's why I let the pros at Linden Market Dental Center turn my yow into
wow.
Get your brilliant smile back with state-of-the-art restorative and cosmetic dentistry from real pros.
And remember, always wear a mouth guard.
Now that's solid on ice advice. Learn more at lindenmarketdentalcenter.com. Creating smiles for life.
Whoa, Ezzy, everything okay? You look stressed.
Of course I'm stressed. We're moving, the house is upside down, the kids failed miserably at packing the fine china, and my life is in chaos. Chaos!
Yes, that does sound like a problem.
What am I going to do?
Ezzy, relax. Rolly's Transfer Moving and Storage is the answer. With 60 years of experience in moving Manitobans and a track record of exemplary customer service, one call to Rolly's and your stress is gone. No job is too big or too small. Just visit Rollies.com and they will take it from there.
Thanks, Dave, and thank you, Rolly's Transfer Moving and Storage, online at Rollies.com.
Dave, my man, why are you in the car already? It's hours until game time.
Drew, it's because I'm stressed out right now, driving around downtown Winnipeg, looking for a parking spot, and I'm not finding one. I've lost Ginsburg. I don't even know where that guy is right now.
Dave, haven't I taught you anything? Do what I do. Pre-book your entire month's worth of game day parking with the Grid Park app. It's super easy to use and saves me both time and stress.
Well, Drew, I'm not independently wealthy like you are. So I'm sorry that I don't have millions of dollars to pre-book my parking month in advance. What's that going to cost you? $25?
How about $5?
Come on, $5? No way.
$5. I'm not telling you a lie. And our listeners can get a free park with the new special promo code Illegal Curve. Guess what? There's more.
There's more, Drew. You're lying to me. What more could there be?
Grid Park now has underground parking, so my car can stay warm during the game.
So wait a second. All the driving around I do, looking for parking, minus 40. You're telling me I could be toasty warm in a car after the hockey game?
That's exactly what I'm telling you. Underground parking. Just download the Grid Park app. That's GRYD Park and use the code Illegal Curve. All one word. You'll park for free your first time.
Hi, it's Drew from Illegal Curve here. Selling your home can be stressful, but it wasn't for me. Thanks to my friends at Zappia Group Realty, they made the process so easy. My home sold within 48 hours and with multiple offers. Zappia Group Realty took care of everything with their exquisite customer service and attention to detail. If you want to sell your home for more in less time, get started by talking to Frank and Mauro Zappia of Zappia Group Realty. Online at zappiagroup.com.
For 3 generations and over 80 years, Tough Duck has been making apparel that works and plays as hard as the people who wear it. From jackets to work boots and everything in between, Tough Duck's clothing can handle the harshest environments, even the Illegal Curve hockey show. Work to live, live to play. Visit toughduck.com. Welcome back to the Illegal Curve post-game show. Drew Mandel, Dave Manuk, Ezra Ginsburg with you. A happy Valentine's Day to one and all. Nice to be with so many of our loved ones, platonic or otherwise.
Speaking of loved ones, Drew.
Yes.
You did the Seagram shot of the game, but there was no shot. So I have one of my loved ones with me here. So here, let's do this. L'chaim.
I'm drinking something else tonight, but
ooh, yummy fireball.
L'chaim nonetheless there, Mr. Ginsburg. Dave is obviously the teetotaler. He's certainly detoxing at the very least after spending the last 3 weeks in Vegas.
No more. I was drinking martinis for God's sakes. I've never even had a martini in my life. Look at me. I was a fancy guy.
I was going to say, you're not a big drinker in the best of times. At least, I mean, in Winnipeg, you're not a big drinker. I don't think I've ever seen you have more than maybe one beer at an outing or anything like that.
I may have had a few adult beverages over in Vegas.
Dave M, wild and crazy.
Dave drinks a little Kokanee Gold. If you ever went to Earl's Maine back in the day, you know that that was Dave M's drink of choice, Kokanee Gold.
In fact, when Earl's Maine, fun little story is, when Earl's Maine stopped carrying Kokanee Gold in the draft, they actually would bring in bottles. So when we were there every Wednesday, they would always have a bottle of Kokanee Gold for me or two.
There you go. Dave tipped well, so he obviously got his Kokanee Gold.
Second fun fact: they don't sell Kokanee Gold in BC.
Really? Just regular Kokanee?
Just regular Kokanee.
Oh, that is a fun fact. Look at all the things you learn on this show. Not many of them are to do with hockey, which is ostensibly why we get together. But the random other crap, you can't beat that.
So Alan L says it was a Cosmo. No, it wasn't a Cosmo. It was called Slip of the Tongue, the Adult Star Martini.
That's what you ordered. You ordered that with a straight face?
Well, the guys jokingly said, give him the most girly martini of all time. So I drank, and I was like, it tastes sweet. It's fun.
Actually, the girlier the drinks, like the better they are. They're actually usually
easy as with the...
There's some really tasty drinks. It's just like you just have to be comfortable with your masculinity to drink them.
Well, the other highlight was when I went down to the pool and I was like, "Can I have the slush, like the lemonade slush?" And they're like, "Yeah, what do you want?" I'm like, "Oh no, I'll just have it." I'm like, "I don't really drink Slurpee, so this is kind of like me cheating. So give me as much of that as you can."
So you just had a virgin margarita or a virgin daiquiri or something.
See,
I don't know. Maybe what it's true. You never know. These are the things that are going to come to you later on Illegal Curve behind the scenes. It's like a behind the music episode of Dave M in Vegas for 8 weeks at a time.
Drew, is that the bourbon from Happy Harry's, by the way?
This isn't. I got 2 bourbons when I was down in Grand Forks. I mean, if you're going down for a weekend, you got to pick up a couple bottles, and my wife and I certainly took advantage.
You have
of
to
that.
get a crate of Camel Lights as well.
And I don't smoke, but no, so I didn't buy any smokes. But I
will say though, as another complete aside, since that's all the show is. What a different, like when you're not used, I as everyone knows, I don't smoke, and I definitely don't smoke cigars.
Yeah. Tampa Bay, by the way, beat Colorado in a shootout tonight,
which is weird because that is completely unrelated to my story. But anyways, I was gonna say it's absolutely like shocking how bad the smoke is when you go down. I mean, especially a place like Vegas, which obviously is a place of excess. But I honestly couldn't get over how many people smoke cigars inside. And like, I felt like I was smoking like 7 packs a day, but like by the end of the night, your eyes are just like glazed because there's so much. At least I thought that was because of the smoke. But yeah, the smoking. It's just funny. You get to the Vegas airport, and right away there's like the VLTs, or not VLTs, but the whatever they are, the slot machines, and everything right out in the open. Then they have the enclosed one for the smokers, and it's just like this just room full of just smoke everywhere. By the way, our newest sponsor, smoking company.
Our newest sponsor, Joe Camel himself, is going to join us on the show.
I don't think either of you guys went to the University of Winnipeg, right? It was both. You both went to U of M. Is that correct?
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, I didn't think so. So obviously, I grew up at U of W with my dad there, but I went to U of W. And do you guys happen to remember though? There was a smoking room at U of W on the main floor.
Wasn't that like wasn't? I mean, I remember hearing about it. Like,
it was
wasn't it glassed in?
It was
like almost like an aquarium of smokers.
That's hilarious. That's exactly what it was. I could not describe it any better. It was a glass room where people would go in, and there wasn't anything in it. It's not like there was like, you
like just go hack butts in there.
There wasn't like couches and like, TVs. It was literally like a room for people to go in and smoke. That like there was, and it wasn't circulating. So like it was the most disgusting. I don't know what year they got rid of that thing, but I was at U of W from like 2000 to 2004. I'm really dating myself there. But that smoking room, maybe some people in the chat can remember that University of Winnipeg smoking room, because that really makes you like think smoking is the worst thing in the world, right? So just thought I'd get that in there.
It was a different world back then, as Derek Richards say. They used to have a smoking room at Tech Voc, which that's what it was. You used to smoke indoors.
Good school, Tech Voc.
This is just how it was.
Shout out to Tech Voc.
Go Hornets, right? I think that's what they are, if I'm not mistaken. My dad
got a great gym there. I remember watching. I went to Kelvin, and I remember watching Kelvin play Tech Voc in basketball.
Yeah,
good gym.
That's a
good people.
School. Yes, indeed. Anyways, there you go. Smoking. So Dave is a chain smoker. Is basically what we.
So I'm smoking I'm smoking like a chimney since I've been back.
That's right. Exactly. He hasn't eaten a meal in a week. He's just been hacking butts and lighting them up one after another.
After being in Vegas, you don't want to eat a meal for a week. It's so much food.
It's true. It is a lot of food. I'll be down there in about a little more than a month. So I'll see if the city's recovered from you.
La-di-da, Mr. Vegas.
That's I got to follow in your footsteps.
You're staying at the Lawless house, right?
That's right. I'm just going to pitch a tent on his front yard, and hopefully he won't call security at that point in time. Rick Bonus about the Jets fans.
Oh yeah, there was a hockey game we were supposed to.
There was allegedly. Apparently, Kenny and Rennie aren't going on tonight. I'm not sure what's going on there.
Yeah,
that in the chat.
Kenny never said anything to me today. We had quite the little chit chat in the press box, and Kenny didn't mention that there was going to be you think he'd give me a little professional courtesy.
I think maybe a little bit. You think there's a Kenny v. Rennie? Maybe there's conflict. Should we start up a rumor that there's conflict in the Kenny
was
family?
At the game, right, Dave? So I would imagine it.
Well, Sean
had something going on.
But Sean was tweeting, and it's weird because usually, even if one of them can't do it, they usually just bring in the Saturday game didn't Scott and Jeff and Kenny.
Yeah.
Right. So
who knows? Rick
Looks
Bonus,
like it's just more time for us, boys. We don't have to give them any courtesy.
More of our inane ramblings is what you're finding out about here. Rick Bonus cheering the Jets fans for cheering Adam Lowry's penalty killing efforts. Quote, "The fans here are fantastic. I love the passion, the following that we have from our fans. They're knowledgeable and they see guys paying the price to win hockey games, and that's what they want to see. They're paying big money to come see us play. They want to see the effort. They want to see the commitment. They want to see sacrifice to make sure we're playing as hard as we can to win hockey games. They're smart fans. They acknowledge it, and they think that was fantastic." So that's Rick Bonus buttering up.
Can we talk about Bones' haircut?
You can at this point in time. We
really fresh.
Yeah, you liked it. A good
Great,
look.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Kevin Sawyer had a haircut as well.
Okay. Have you had a
Like he
haircut
was
recently?
freshly coiffed. No, I haven't. No.
You have a big date coming up on Saturday.
I do, and you almost screwed me there, Mindell, because yes, I got Naomi tickets to Rumors for Valentine's Day. I also got her flowers.
Did she not know that? Did I let the cat out of the
No,
bag?
it was obviously that was the Valentine.
Did Ezzy just mute himself
I don't know.
I think
He went like Max Hedren for a second. I was like, what's going on right now?
Not sure what happened there. Maybe it's the fireball got into the keyboard or something. I have no idea. But no, because that was her Valentine's present. So Naomi, so Dave, you didn't see this, but Naomi was out on the town on Saturday night, and then she's watching the show, and then Drew goes, "I'll be at Rumors on Thursday night. Ezzy, you'll be there Saturday." And I was like,
what's going on with Ez?
I don't know. His computer's acting up a little bit. I think
Looks like we got to start talking about hockey again.
He's melting down.
Well, what's happening is my fat double chin is pulling my cords out of my microphone here. So that's what's happening. But yeah, Drew, you almost screwed me there. But Naomi tuned out when you said I'm going to be there Saturday. But yes, we will be at Rumors to see Sean Lacombe. So we're looking forward to that.
Yes, exactly. There you go. So if anyone wants to meet Ezzy up close and personal,
if anybody wants to meet the real Cocaine Bear, then come to Rumors on Saturday night.
Well, that's what I meant to talk about. So we spent Saturday's post-game show, a chunk of it, talking about Cocaine Bear, and then I saw talking about Mike McIntyre. Mike was tweeting about Cocaine Bear, and I was telling Ezzy that Cocaine Bear is actually a story from Kentucky. That's where the bear was. The bear ingested cocaine. It was a Kentucky-based bear. So my wife is talking to her parents earlier today, and from what I could see, the grandfather clock was not in the video. So it was a video chat, so I couldn't see the grandfather clock. But my father-in-law, has this Chicago Bears sweatshirt that he's been wearing for years, and it needed to be replaced, and he replaced it with a Cocaine Bear sweatshirt. So my father-in-law has...
Your father-in-law has a Cocaine Bear sweatshirt?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Wow.
Yes, my father-in-law...
That's amazing.
Very esteemed, well-respected engineer was sitting chatting with us earlier tonight while wearing a Cocaine Bear sweatshirt, because it's the Chicago Bears
people
logo.
in Kentucky are embracing this.
Oh yeah, they're all in on this. They're changing the name. It's actually not a Commonwealth anymore. It's now Cocaine Bear of Kentucky is what's happening.
That's
it's no
very
longer
funny, actually. Drew's being way too funny right now, Dave. Like what's happening? Like we need more hate directed towards Drew. The amount I'm liking Drew right now, I'm not comfortable with this. It has to be like 30% like 70%. I almost said 30%, 80%. Maybe I'll take another shot.
Anyways,
that's very funny.
I thought the crowd would enjoy that. So yes, Cocaine Bear is certainly being embraced by our good friends, my good friends and my family in Kentucky as well. Rick Bonus
on your antlers. It's time for the Manuk Moose Minute on the Illegal Curve Hockey Show.
Fine, I'm talking too much. Go ahead, Dave.
Whoa, welcome back, the Manuk Moose Minute. Thank you. People are getting upset. They think this is a hockey show, and we're doing our usual. I mean, they obviously don't pay very close attention to Illegal Curve, because we did spend the first 40 minutes talking about the hockey game. So if you're upset about, our inane dialogue, well, I mean, you can always watch the replay, and then you can watch if you skip past this part, and then we'll get to hockey again.
Dave, talk about Alex Limoges. Let's go.
Let's go, Alex Limoges. Anyways,
before you do, I got a message from. I got to find the guy's name. A guy on Instagram messaged me saying that he watches the show from Australia. Doesn't really know a lot about hockey, but he really enjoys the show, and he's watching it, and he's trying to learn more about hockey as he's watching us. I apologize to him, because you're certainly not learning anything more about hockey watching this show tonight, as it's certainly gone well off the rails. But I wanted to give a shout out to JMB Newman on Twitter, who reached out and said he's enjoying
Instagram
the show
or Twitter.
From
You just said two different social media sources.
Sorry, Twitter. He reached out to us on Twitter to say that he's
Speaking of wrestling, I wonder if he knows Rhea Ripley.
Why?
He's from Australia.
Oh, it's a big country, is he?
Yeah, but she's the biggest thing in women's wrestling right now. She's from Australia. Maybe he knows her.
Dave?
Anyways, back to the little thing called the Manuk Moose Minute. The Moose were rolling this weekend to conclude their road trip. It was a 6-gamer, of course, split up between the All-Star break, and they were concluding it in Grand Rapids, where they won by a combined score of 9-2. Everybody was contributing. Jansen Harkins had a big weekend. Ville Heinola, both goaltenders were excellent, only allowing one goal, obviously, apiece in their starts. And then folks may remember that January 13th, there was a incident in the game against the Marlies in Toronto where a spectator in the building had a health issue. And I'm still not certain what happened to her, but I believe her partner had said that she was doing okay, which is good news. Hopefully she's still recovering and doing well from that situation. But the game was postponed after the first period with the score tied 1-1. The makeup game was on Monday. But interesting fact from Daniel Fink that I wasn't aware of, it was like the game was actually taking place a month prior. So had the Moose won the game, which they did not, but had the Moose won the game, they wouldn't have won 3 in a row because the game was actually going retroactively back to January 13th. So everything that took place was actually a month earlier. So very unusual sort of situation.
Why didn't they just restart the game, Dave, from the first period? Like, I can't remember the last time you started a game in the second period, like weeks after the original game.
A month. Like literally a month to the day that it had transpired. Yeah, I guess it's just the rule and the way they have to do it. You know, like hit the ball where it lies or whatever.
But if both teams agree to it, can you not just?
I guess.
You know
it does make sense though, because if you think about it, like it's hard to just erase. I mean, what happens if a guy had a hat trick? What happens if something memorable happens? So it's hard to just kind of walk that away from that and strike it out. So regardless, they started out the game 1-1 in Toronto. It was a 6 p.m. start, so they would only play 2 periods of the game, and the Moose gave up 3. I think Oskari Salminen was in net, and so the Moose gave up 3 goals quickly. Arvid Holm, who was backing up David Rittich tonight, Arvid Holm came in relief. He gave up 1 goal, and the Marlies ended up winning at 4-2. But interesting factoid, boys, and for the chat, Alex Limoges, who, as he referenced, he had his 41th point because he scored a goal in the game. Coincidentally, he also scored the only goal in the first period of the game on January 13th. So Alex Limoges, who had tied his points record with 40 the game before, broke it with 41, but technically broke it the game before this last game because this game took place January 13th, not February 13th. So Alex Limoges set a new record, but he actually did it on Saturday night in Grand Rapids, not yesterday in Toronto. Fun fact.
I don't know what you just said, but my head hurt as a result of you saying.
You know what I like about Alex Limoges, in addition to the fact that he's got great hair?
Yes,
he's from Virginia, which is not exactly a hockey hotbed.
But that's where Daniel Berthiaume was when we interviewed him, wasn't he?
Wasn't it Vermont?
No, it was Virginia.
No, it was Virginia, I think.
Was it Virginia? Yeah. Captain Bert.
Captain
That's
Bert.
What his fishing charter is called. Yeah, he was awesome back in 2016 for the Jets Heritage Classic. But he also went to, Dave, I know you know this, Pennsylvania State University. Again, not like, it's not University of Michigan or, North Dakota or Wisconsin, the factories of NHL players, right? Just interesting. I think Limoges is a really, he's been great all year long. So he's a great story.
Who's a huge benefactor of that program is the Pegula family who own the Buffalo Sabres. And
that's right. Yep.
Terry Pegula is a graduate of Penn State University.
Yeah.
And as a result, he is, I think, single-handedly pumped a huge amount of money.
Yeah. I think he ate like $25 million, something like that.
Yeah.
So anyways, and so just to kind of round out the Moose talk. So now they're home for 8 straight games, and something how long are we in? Over an hour and 3 minutes into this show. And we haven't mentioned the biggest news of the day was that Axel Jonsson-Fjällby was not claimed on waivers, so he was able to be
surprised by that. By the way, boys,
I was shocked.
I thought if Washington didn't reclaim him because they have first dibs, I was thinking like a Vancouver or maybe a Chicago, like a team that knows that they're going to be sellers at the trade deadline. I thought somebody would get him because you're getting him for free. But obviously, the Jets Moose benefit big time by him not getting claimed.
But if you make that claim, I wonder if that changes your priority moving forward. So I wonder if you're holding on to that claim if you're one of those bottom teams in case somebody who may be a little more attractive or you need the roster.
Oh, look,
spot.
Jesse Puljujarvi is supposedly going to go on waivers, right? So there are some names that are interesting.
How does somebody not claim him, Dave? If Puljujarvi, I realize Puljujarvi is claimed. Wildly inconsistent, but to me, you got to claim him.
Someone's claiming
for the Jets even.
Yeah.
There's no question about it. He'd get claimed 100%. But anyway, but the interesting thing about Axel Jonsson-Fjällby was that if Washington claims him, they can send him right to Hershey, and they could have sent him right to the AHL. So and the only thing I saw, I was reading some Washington sites, and they were saying that, maybe because they're at 48 contracts, they didn't want to go to 49 and then not have any kind of flexibility there, for NHL contracts, because of course you're only allowed to have 50. And regardless, what it does is it gives the Moose a phenomenal top six of, Axel Jonsson-Fjällby, Dominic Toninato, Jansen Harkins, Alex Limoges, Christian Reichel, Jeff Malott, a third line, Cole Meyer, Evan Poli, Nicholas Jones. And then you can have a fourth line, a young fourth line potentially, Henry Nikkinen, Daniel Torgerson, of course, two Jets prospects, and Wyatt Bongiovanni, who they signed out of college. And then you got other guys like Tyler Boland, and who can make some have an impact. Greg Morales, who's a very impactful guy. So the Moose are getting stacked. T. Konopoli said it, I think, a few seconds ago, and it's true. The Moose are getting stacked. And the goaltenders, Arvid Holm, he looks like he's coming into his own. So a lot of good things happening for the Manitoba Moose. And of course, Jimmy Olney, the captain, we should mention that. He came back. He played his first game of the season after we announced.
They did give him one of his own bobbleheads. So they
did give him one of his own bobbleheads, but he played his first game of the season. So nice for the Moose to get their captain back. And he is often paired with Ville Heinola, and Ville Heinola moved over to the right side again. Something worth noting for Moose fans, and Declan Chisholm, Leon Gavanke, Simon Lundmark. Lots of good things happening down on the farm, and something for fans to be excited about, both the Jets and the Moose, and of course the Winnipeg Ice.
Well said, Dave.
That was a trip to the buffet, Drew. Wow.
Wow, 2 weeks.
Dave just went over the entire Moose 22-23 roster there. I like that.
It was impressive.
Let me tell you, folks.
That's the Moose Minute of a guy who hasn't done a Moose Minute in a good couple
I was
weeks.
feeling it. It just needed to come out. Now, I will say, remember, Moose get back in action 8 games in a row here in Manitoba. Tomorrow is their first. I totally forgot they were playing tomorrow, actually. And the Moose put out a tweet saying, here's tomorrow's info. I was going to text them. I'm like, guys, you don't play tomorrow. You play on Friday. But sure enough, they're playing tomorrow.
Yeah, they know their schedule better than you do.
I should trust them to know their schedule. That's a good point, Drew. But is your boy Brutus is now saying it's Pride Night on Friday. And speaking of that, we will have tickets to give away in the Illegal Curve Zone on Friday night for Friday night's game. So lots of tickets to give away over the next 8 games. And so stay tuned for that. We have a show, Thursday?
Thursday, post game after the Jets and the Blue Jackets.
Yeah, so we'll give away those tickets on Thursday for those who want to go to the game. Think about it. If you're available on Friday, you'll hit me up on Thursday or during the show or after the show. But we'll send you to the Moose game so you can go watch the Moose and the Grand Rapids Griffins. No, Iowa Wild. Sorry.
There you go. So stay tuned for that Thursday's post-game show, I think right around 8:45 after the Jets and the Blue Jackets. Let's get some contest stuff.
I'm exhausted.
We're going late so far on this post-game show tonight. The Illegal Curve merchandise contest. As you know, the way to enter it is click the drop-down arrow here on the YouTube channel. Find the contest link. Click the contest link. You'll see a whole bunch of things you can do to gain entries into the merchandise contest. If you can't find it here on the YouTube page, go to our website, illegalcurve.com. Click on basically any article. You'll see the link there where you can enter in the unique code word for the Illegal Curve merchandise contest, an opportunity to gain, I think, 10 extra entries if you enter in Valentine's Day with IC. Dave is apparently trying to make
a heart of some sort.
That's
how you can tell I have no heart.
I was going to say
that was my best,
or
what do they always do? This
badly
thing?
broken fingers or something. I'm not really sure what's happening there.
I don't know.
But Valentine's Day with IC, no apostrophe between.
I couldn't do an apostrophe, just so you know.
Yeah,
because it's technically not accurate.
Yes,
but because if we do anything like that, it breaks up the word and then it doesn't work. So I had to do Valentine's plural, unfortunately.
Plural, not possessive. Day with IC. So it's all one word. It's all capitalized. Valentine's Day with IC. Enter that unique code word into the contest page and you will be entered to win some great merchandise from those of us here at Illegal Curve. And you could be a winner, just like our latest winner. I'm going to pronounce this correctly. Janess Mills.
Yes.
Janess Mills, and I'm not sure if Janess is a man or a woman.
Speaking of unique code, that's a unique name. I like that.
Yes, it's a she, Dave?
It's a she.
Okay, so congratulations to Janess Mills. You have won some great Winnipeg Jets merchandise courtesy of us here at Illegal Curve. Dave M will be in touch with you to make the necessary arrangements to get you the your winnings for the Illegal Curve merchandise contest in tonight's game. Now we have the Tough Duck hardest hitting comment. I have, as you say the comment, well, I pull it up on the screen if you can,
Sure.
if you have it handy while I find it here in the chat.
Yeah, I've got it. You're going to pull it up. We've got it. It's Chris Jets fan. A while back, we went on a little bit of a rant there from back around 10:30. The comment is, no way, I'm not giving off any negative PLD vibes or energy, only positive PLD re-signs with Jets thoughts and talk. Jets Nation. Thoughts lead to things. I like that just because, we talked a lot about PLD earlier, taking the interference penalty on Vince Dunn, then tying the game up in the third period. There you go. And then obviously scoring the shootout winner after Scheifele scored the first goal on that really nice deke. So like that comment from Chris Jets fan. So we're going to give him the Tough Duck hardest hitting comment. So Chris Jets fan, send me an email, Ezra@illegalcurve.com, or you can slide into my DMs on Twitter at ICSEG. And Tough Duck's going to ship out a toque to you. And it seems like every time we, give out toques, it's right around when it's going to get colder. It's absolutely freezing. So that mild weather that we had the last 3 or 4 days is over. It's going to be minus 30 again, unfortunately. So congrats, Chris.
Put on your Tough Duck too, Chris. Congratulations. You are the Tough Duck hardest hitting comment for tonight's game. Liars, whoever said Kenny and Rennie aren't on. I'm looking at it right now. I see Sean's handsome face on my screen right now. So Sean is clearly on. I don't know about Kenny, but Kenny and Rennie is just underway.
I think Sean's got a flu of some sort. That's what folks are seeming to indicate.
Bit of a malaise.
He's playing hurt. Is this like his MJ flu game? Is that what's happening?
I don't know. It looks like it. That's what the chat is suggesting.
Well, in any event,
we kept it warming. We kept things warm for Sean to get there, but he's now there.
He's there, so you can.
It's time for IC to pass the torch to Kenny and Rennie.
That's right. You can all head over to Kenny and Rennie, but before you do, we got to say a big thank you to all the sponsors of Illegal Curve who make the post
Frosty Winnipeg,
the Saturday show, and the website a possibility. It's a great question. I haven't seen Frosty. I don't think I've seen him tonight. I don't think I've seen Doug tonight.
Out for dinner, Valentine's Day.
It could be. It is Valentine's Day. That's true. They might want to.
He's a romantic, Frosty Winnipeg.
There he is. There he is.
Oh no, Frosty's here.
Ye of little faith. I was actually going to say, I know where folks live, so I can just show up at their house now and be like, guys, what's going on? Why weren't you watching the show last night?
A big thank you to, of course, our friends at Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club, where Sean LeCumber is playing all week long. You can get your tickets, rumorscomedyclub.com. Linden Market Dental Center, our buddy Dr. Les Reich is there. Frank and Amaro Zappia of Zappia Group Realty. You see Dom Zappia in the chat all the time. Betway, they're the official title sponsor of the post-game show. Big thanks to them. Tough Duck, we just gave away a toque to Chris Jets fans. Stay tuned for next game where you too can win a toque. Our friends at Boston's Pizza, Seagram's, they sponsor the shot of the game as he's going to swing back some fireball as a result. Rolly's Transfer, they've got that piano off of Ezzy. You know that, so you need to use Rolly's as you need them for your moving needs. Grid Park for the best place to park, and the Keg for your needs on a night out dining basis. Support these fine businesses because of their continued support of Illegal Curve Hockey. We'll be back Thursday night. Well, I won't be. Dave and Ezzy will be driving the boat on Thursday night. The three of us will be back Saturday morning, and then we're
going to be on a boat, Dave.
Yes, you guys are going to do the show from
a boat.
I
thought we were just going to do it here, but I think we're going to be on a boat.
From a boat.
Yeah,
that's fine. Should it be like the River Rouge, or what do you want to do?
Paddle wheel. Get on there. Find that
paddle wheel queen.
Snow bear.
Snow bear. Is that that's the brother?
Like
of
for, you know what? Ice fishing.
No, you know what? Actually, what we should do is we should reach out to our friends at. Hold on, I want to make sure I get their name right. Even though they're our good friends. Hold on. Uno momento, por favor, because not like the show.
So Drew, when Dave says good friends, he means people that don't even really know who we are.
No clue.
No, they know who we are. We established a deep connection. Where is he?
At the
Winnipeg Ice
Fishing Show.
Winnipeg Ice Fishing Show. That's correct. And hold on, right here, Red River Cats, our friends. Maybe we'll go. Maybe we could do the show on Saturday. Or wait, Drew, did you say you're not here on Saturday?
I'm here on Saturday.
Oh, on Thursday you're not here.
Thursday I'm not here.
Well, maybe we can call our friends at Red River Cats and we can do the show. He did say they've got the great satellite internet, so might be an opportunity to do some ice fishing and the show remotely, if you will.
There you go. Something to potentially look forward to in any
And
event.
hey, maybe we can bring Dustin Bufflin, who was recently spotted on the ice.
He's coming
And
back, baby. There's
folks-
Jets trade deadline acquisition.
Folks love that.
Such a beauty. So great to see Buff.
I have to tell you, like, just sorry, and I know we've gone really long, but like, it's actually insane. Like, whenever anybody like questions the connection people have to Dustin Bufflin, like, you post about him, and it is just an instant, like, a million, whatever you're doing. If it's on Instagram, it's a million likes. Like, honestly, we posted that picture that Andrew, and for folks who don't know, I would imagine most people do, but Andrew Ladd got Dustin Bufflin out to a charity hockey game in Arizona this weekend. And he posted a photo saying somehow got the big guy back on the ice. So we took that and we reposted on the Instagram, but it was crazy. Like, it's crazy how many likes that instantly generates, or on Twitter, or on
Didn't it have like
Facebook.
2.3 thousand likes?
Yeah, like, it's just
Yeah.
and, like but I'm not joking. I knew it was crazy because I posted on Instagram, and within like 15 minutes, it was like hundreds, and I was just like, so folks love. I mean,
Well, Buff is the best. That's just the bottom line right there. Like, people want to see Buff just smiling and having fun, right? Like, so to your point, you could basically post a picture of Buff doing anything, and thousands of people are going to like it.
I think people are happy to see him, healthy, doing well,
having fun,
enjoying life. And hey, maybe we'll do this. My point was, ultimately, we haven't heard him on a hockey podcast. We heard him on a fishing podcast, but we haven't heard him on a hockey podcast. Maybe he'll come and do a show with you, myself, maybe Drew, with our friends at Red River Cats. So we'll try and see if we can swing that.
Something to look forward to, the potential of that happening. But obviously, our next in action Thursday night, so we can look forward to that Thursday night after the Jets and the Blue Jackets, and then again Saturday morning. Big thanks to everyone for joining us on this Valentine's Day edition of the Illegal Curve post-game show. For Dave Manuk, for Ezra Ginsburg, I'm your host, Drew Mandel.
I choose you, Drew.
I choose you too, Ezzy. Until Thursday around 8:45 p.m., we wish you good night and good luck, and thanks for watching the Illegal Curve post-game show.